Controversial African heads of state who deserve a Netflix special. When it comes to African history on the big screen, few leaders have captured Hollywood's attention quite like Uganda's Idi Amin. Forrest Whitaker's Oscar-winning performance in The Last King of Scotland gave the world a chilling yet captivating glimpse into the life of one of Africa's most feared dictators. Ethiopia's Emperor Haile Selassie has also found his way into documentaries and cultural depictions, especially because of his global status as a Pan-African icon and Rastafarian messiah. Even Nelson Mandela's story has inspired multiple films, from Invictus to Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. But beyond these names, Africa's history is full of leaders whose controversial legacies are so dramatic, so complex, and so larger than life that they deserve their own Netflix specials. Starting with Jacob Zuma, South Africa, 2009 to 2018. Jacob Zuma's rise from a rural village to the presidency of South Africa made him a populist hero, but his time in office became synonymous with scandal. His administration was engulfed in corruption allegations, including the infamous state capture scandal, where wealthy elites influenced government for profit. Zuma's leadership weakened key institutions, divided the ruling ANC party, and tarnished South Africa's democratic image. Yet despite legal troubles, he remains beloved by a loyal base who see him as a man of the people. William Ruto, Kenya, 2022 to present. William Ruto, Kenya's current president, built his brand as a hustler who rose from poverty to the highest office, positioning himself as a champion of ordinary Kenyans. His career, however, has been controversial. He was once indicted by the ICC for crimes against humanity tied to Kenya's post-election violence in 2007 to 2008, though the case collapsed. Critics accuse him of corruption, land grabbing, and divisive politics, while supporters praise his populist message and political resilience. His presidency is still unfolding, but already polarizing. Paul Kagame, Rwanda, 2000 to present. Paul Kagame rose to global prominence after leading the rebel army that ended the 1994 Rwandan genocide. As president, he has overseen impressive economic growth, stability, and modernization, making Rwanda a model in the eyes of many. Yet Kagame's leadership is also marked by authoritarianism. Political opponents are jailed or exiled, media is tightly controlled, and Rwanda is accused of destabilizing neighboring Congo. His life represents a rare paradox, praised as both a visionary reformer and a feared strongman. Sani Abacha, Nigeria, 1993 to 1998. General Sani Abacha seized power in a military coup and ruled Nigeria with an iron fist. His regime was marked by brutal repression, including the execution of activist Ken Saro-Wiwa, and widespread corruption that saw billions looted from state coffers. Even after his death, countries continue to recover stolen assets linked to him. Strangely, some Nigerians still view him fondly for maintaining low fuel prices and funding infrastructure projects. His story embodies the paradox of dictatorship: fear and brutality on one side, remembered benefits on the other. Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe, 1980-2017. Robert Mugabe began his rule as the liberator of Zimbabwe, celebrated for ending colonial domination and championing education and healthcare reforms. But over time, his leadership became synonymous with authoritarianism and economic ruin. His radical land reforms in the 2000s, while seen by some as correcting colonial injustices, triggered mass unemployment, food shortages, and hyperinflation that destroyed the economy. His nearly 4 decades in power turned him into both a symbol of African resistance to the West and a cautionary tale of power unchecked. Mobutu Sese Seko, Zaire, DRC, 1965-1997. Mobutu Sese Seko came to power after a coup and became one of Africa's most flamboyant and notorious leaders. Famous for his leopard skin hats and extravagant lifestyle, Mobutu looted billions from Zaire while most of his people suffered in poverty. His rule was sustained by Cold War politics as Western powers backed him against communism despite his corruption and repression. When he finally fell, he left behind a collapsed state, making his legacy a textbook example of kleptocracy and the dangers of personal rule. Mengistu Haile Mariam, Ethiopia, 1977-1991. Mengistu Haile Mariam rose to power after the fall of Emperor Haile Selassie and installed a Marxist-Leninist regime. He is infamous for orchestrating the Red Terror, a violent crackdown that killed tens of thousands of political opponents. His policies also worsened Ethiopia's devastating famine in the 1980s, drawing worldwide outrage. Mengistu's rule ended when rebel forces overthrew him, forcing him into exile in Zimbabwe. To this day, he remains a symbol of ideological extremism and brutality. Omar al-Bashir, Sudan, 1989-2019. Omar al-Bashir ruled Sudan for 30 years after taking power in a coup. His leadership was defined by war, repression, and international isolation. He became the first sitting head of state indicted by the International Criminal Court for genocide and crimes against humanity in Darfur, where hundreds of thousands perished. Al-Bashir managed to hold on through sanctions, uprisings, and coups until Sudanese protests finally toppled him in 2019. His life story is a mix of survival, defiance, and deep infamy. Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, Equatorial Guinea, 1979-present. Teodoro Obiang has been in power since 1979, making him Africa's longest-serving president. He overthrew his uncle in a bloody coup and has since built a regime fueled by oil wealth. While Equatorial Guinea is rich in natural resources, most of its citizens remain in poverty as Obiang and his family are accused of siphoning billions. His government is notorious for torture, corruption, and a cult of personality that presents him as almost divine. Obiang's story is one of oil riches turned into absolute power. Yoweri Museveni, Uganda, 1986-present. Yoweri Museveni came to power in 1986 as a liberator who promised democracy and renewal after years of dictatorship. Initially celebrated as a new breed of African leader, he has remained in power for nearly 4 decades through constitutional changes, election manipulation, and repression of opponents. His long rule has provided stability, but also sparked accusations of corruption and authoritarianism. Museveni's journey is the story of a revolutionary who became what he once opposed. Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso, 2022-present. Ibrahim Traoré shocked the world when he seized power at just 34, making him Africa's youngest leader. Portraying himself as a revolutionary, he has expelled French troops, aligned with other coup-born leaders in West Africa, and embraced Pan-African rhetoric that appeals to disillusioned youth. His charisma and fiery speeches have made him popular among Pan-African movements, but critics warn he risks entrenching himself as another authoritarian. His story, still being written, captures Africa's generational struggle between youthful rebellion and the cycle of military coups. And there you have it, Africa's most controversial leaders, men whose lives read like epic dramas of power, ambition, corruption, and survival. Each of them could easily inspire a Netflix special filled with intrigue, betrayal, and the kind of real-life twists no scriptwriter could invent. Which of these leaders do you think deserves a movie or series first? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into African history and want more stories like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.